Good afternoon. Steve Cowles here with AEM Test. Welcome to Tech Talk with Steve. Today we're going to be talking about uploading and management of your test results. This will apply whether you're using the TESTPRO multifunction certification system or the Network Service Assistant Qualification Plus system. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and we'll go into just a quick demo here. First off, you've got here your NSA Network Service Assistant. I've got TESTPRO. You can see on the display here, I've got my TESTPRO screen linked via my computer, so we can follow some of the different processes of uploading these test reports. So the first one that we'll talk about is the thumb drive. So it's a little USB flash drive. You'll plug that into the side of your tester. And when you plug it in, you'll get a menu pop up like we see here, our USB menu. And you've got a few options. If we had custom labels, you'd see those on there. We could import them. If we needed to upgrade the firmware and we had that on there on the drive, we'd be able to do that as well. But what we're focusing on today is the copy test results. So here I'll click on copy test results to USB. And here I can choose the project that I want. I'm going to select Tech Talk. I've already got tests that I've run and saved in here. And I'm going to click my green check, and it's going to transfer those 6 test results. So that's the first method of getting them off of the unit itself. So I'll take that USB drive out. We'll set that aside because we're going to use it later. And the next method that I'll show you to get them off of the unit itself is using the cloud. So I've got a cable connected to my ADNet cable adapter here. I can see that I do have an Ethernet connection. It's shown by the green status of this multi-gig button. I'm going to click on Network Test and Cloud. And once we establish this connection, we can go into Cloud. And then I can go into my cloud login. And we'll go ahead and log in. And then we can choose the project that we want. We're going to choose Tech Talk. And I'm going to go ahead and click Sync Data. And this will go ahead and upload my 6 results. And then once those results are uploaded, we'll be able to go to the cloud and manage results from there. So I'll show you that in a moment. The next method that we'll use, I've got a USB cable connected to the side of my TESTPRO here, and I can use my TestDataPro PC software to import tests directly from the tester. So I would create a new project, and we'll just click New Project, and we'll just call this Tech Talk Test 1. We've created our project, and now we can click From Device. Now this will pull in multiple projects, so we'll see more than one project, and they'll be in subfolders. So we see a TTWS, we see this Tech Talk project. I click here, and here's my Tech Talk project. So I've imported them with it directly connected. So that's one method. Now, we also did the, I'm going to close this out and not save it, so these results will not be saved in here. We did the thumb drive. So while we're in the software here, before I take you to the cloud to show you that, I'm going to show you how we would do it from a USB. So I'm going to open this project we just created again. And now I'm going to connect that USB drive to my laptop. And then we have a button here called From USB. We'll click From USB, and then we can go in, and here's our folder, Tech Talk, and we're going to click OK. And now those results, same results we just saw in the other folder, that we brought in directly from the TESTPRO are also on this USB. So there's 2 methods to get them in. We're going to explore these files momentarily after we get done talking about uploading and bringing them into the software, we'll talk about other things that we can do with them within the software. But for now, I just want to focus on the upload. So we've uploaded, there's two different methods we've covered so far, both the USB and the direct from device. So I'm going to close that project again. Next, we'll go to the cloud, and I'll go in and go to my web browser, and I'm going to log into the cloud here. And this website is tdpcloud.com, and you can go in and just create an account. It doesn't cost you anything. Oh, it helps if you enter the right password. And there we go. So now we're in. Now I can scroll down the pane on the left here, and here we see Tech Talk, the one that we just uploaded. So if I click on that, now I can see these results in the cloud. From within the cloud, I've got a couple of options. If I want to download these, so a good scenario here might be technician finishes the job at the job site. At the end of the day, they've got a 3-hour drive to get back to the office, but the project manager needs the results right away. They could upload these results right to the cloud. The project manager can then go into the project. From the cloud, they can send the PDF reports directly from the cloud to the customer if they wish. They can download those TPD files, the test files, the native test files, and bring them into the PC-based software that we were looking at a moment ago. They can email customers a TPD file, that's the native file again, if they needed to. So there's a lot of options that you've got in here. So if we wanted to, say, send a report, we could check all these. And under options, we can go in here and we can just send email to selected recipients. And we can tell them single PDF report, that will give you a summary page at the beginning and then all the individual test reports. And then we simply enter an email address where we want these to go and click send. And now this is going to send those PDF files. Same thing with downloading. If I wanted to go ahead and download those files so I could open it up on the PC software, I'll click that options again. I'll click download selected TPD, and it went ahead and we see there's a download there. So it has gone ahead and downloaded those files. So now I can bring those in just like I did from the thumb drive. We can do an import from file and bring those files in. Other things you can do if you just wanted to look at one test here, maybe just look at a PDF. We can click on the PDF icon right here, and we get a web-based PDF report of this test. This happens to be a multi-gig PoE test that's on this list of tests. So a lot of options there with the cloud functionality. So let's go back to the software now. And the first thing I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and open my Windows Explorer. And we're going to go to my downloads folder. And we need to, here is the file that we just downloaded. I'm going to copy that, and let's just put it in a desktop folder, and we'll call it Tech Talk Files. And we'll go into Tech Talk Files, paste that in there, and I'm just going to go ahead and unzip this. And this will bring in all those test files, those 6 test files that we downloaded from the cloud. And here we see those are the individual files. So now I'll go to my software. I'm going to open that project. And we'll go ahead and click from file instead of from USB or from device. We'll go from file, and then we'll navigate to the desktop, and we'll go to that folder we just created, Tech Talk Files. We'll just click the first one and hit a Control-A to select all of those, and we'll click Open. And here we see the same reports have been imported in. So 3 different methods of getting those reports to your PC. You can also send those reports directly to your customer from the cloud as well. So you don't have to manage them with a PC. So Test Data Pro is about multiple methods of getting those results from your tester to your customer ultimately, because that's the main goal here, is you want to get those test results and send those reports over to your customer, and possibly send them to a manufacturer if you're working on a job that has an extended warranty program, and the manufacturer usually requires the project file. So in that case, what you do is here in Test Data Pro, where I've got these imported, regardless of which method I use to import them, whether it was a direct or USB or via the cloud up and down, I can now click Save. We're going to save this project. So that Tech Talk Test is Tech Talk Test 1 project is now what we call a TPP or Test Pro project file, and that file will reside exactly where you saved it when we did this at the very beginning, when we created that project file in this software. It's going to be in that spot on your computer. You can go to your computer and you can send an email and just attach that file to send it over to the manufacturer. The manufacturers will have a copy of the Test Data Pro software, which is free, and you can download it and install as many copies as you need to manage your test results. So if you have multiple people in your organization who need to have access to these files, they can have copies of this as well. So beyond just getting the reports into the software and beyond getting the project file over to a manufacturer to approve the warranty for a system, what else can we do within Test Data Pro? So a couple of things that we can do here. The first thing I would do is I would go in and I would click the column that says label. I'll sort my data in that label ID sequence that we've got here. That's usually the order that people want to look at things. So, and once you've sorted it by label, if you need to generate that report, you can click the Select All button right here, and we see they're all highlighted. And now I'm going to just click Single PDF, and we'll just put it right in that Tech Talk files, and we'll just go TT1, 2, just to give it a name, and that's going to be our PDF name. And then once the PDF generates, we'll go ahead and show you what that looks like on the screen here, and show you the types of information that you would expect to find on that PDF. So PDF is generated over here on my other monitor. I'm going to drag it over. So here's our summary report. This is the cable certification summary report. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 results here. Then we have the validation report. So this test result group had not just copper certification, but had multi-gig PoE type testing on it as well. So those are here also. Once you get through the summary pages, then you see the individual pages. So you get all your results, the typical information you'd expect to see, all your test parameters, your RF information, your graphs at the bottom. And as we get down towards the bottom, we see what speeds this cable is capable of based on the test results. And this one happens to be a Cat 6. We can scroll down, and we probably have a couple that are Cat 6A in here. So here's a 6A, and when we scroll down on the bottom of that one, you can actually see this is capable of 10 gig. So that is what your test results are going to look like. We go down and take a quick look at our PoE and multi-gig. We can see one that we ran up to 5 gig. Here's one we ran up to 10 gig. We can see our signal to noise ratio. All this information is transferred over. Our PoE levels, both the allocated and the real power, are shown here. So I'll close out of that for a moment, and we'll show you a couple other things that you can do. So you may have noticed in the PDF report that the AEM logo is in the upper left. So what if you want to provide a customized report for your customer? You want to put your corporate logo on that report instead of AEM's logo. That's perfectly understandable. You want to advertise your business, right? So how do we do that? I'm going to go over here to Tools, actually to Settings, and I'm going to select Company Logo. And it tells us the file size we need. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And I'm going to go and find my logos folder. And I have a logo right here. I just called it Test Logo. And I'm going to click Open. And now that brings that logo into my file. So now if I click on one of these again, I'll just click this PDF icon next to this first test here, and it'll pull up a PDF. So we can look and see our first reports that we generated. We had the AEM logo here. And then now these new reports, we've got the new logo that I just imported. So it's pretty basic. It's not very difficult to put your company logo into the test files. And you can change that logo as often as you want. If you just want to put something, maybe an advertisement in there, as long as it's within that file size, it's perfectly normal. So other things that we can do within the software itself. Let's take a look at these test results again. We've got a few here. We've got some Cat6 channel, 3 Cat6 channel tests, a Cat6A channel. So maybe this was a mixed job. And we had some Cat6 on it, and we had some Cat6A. Well, I know once I got these results back from the field, I know that A001 and A002 were supposed to be Cat6, but 3 and 4 were supposed to be 6A. And it looks like they tested 3 as Cat6. Well, let's take a look at that PDF report for a second. So I'm going to pull up the PDF report, and sure enough, it says Cat6 channel, but they did change the cable. So they did, whoever ran this test, they remembered to go in and change the cable type to 6A. They changed the jack type to 6A, but they forgot to change the test limit. This can happen. In this case, it's only one test, but it could be a large job, and maybe you've got 100 tests that were supposed to be tested as Cat6A, and they were tested as Cat6. What I can do is I'm going to select this file right here that I want to recertify, and we have a recertification tool. So what this tool is used for, when you run a Cat6 test on the TESTPRO, it's going to run the test all the way up through the 6A frequencies anyway. Even though you only specified Cat6, we're going to include all of those frequencies. So the Cat6A test data is already in that test file. So what we want to do with the recertification tool, we're just going to click recertification, and we're going to select, if you needed to change NVP, if you had the incorrect NVP, you can change that. We're doing limit, so we're going to select limit, and we're going to tell it that we want to do Cat6A channel. And then we're going to click OK. And then we'll look at that test result, and it says it was successfully recertified. And we see now that it shows Cat6A channel. Now, there's a caveat to this. This will only give you a pass if that cable was good enough to pass that 6A test, because it's tested through all those frequencies. When you did it as a Cat6, the difference is it's only comparing it against the Cat6 limits. Once you recertify, it's going to recompare it against the 6A limits instead of the Cat6 limits. So as long as it was good enough, it will give you a pass. If it wasn't good enough, it's not like a free handout that you can get a pass on here. So the cable does have to be good enough in order for it to pass the recertification. Some other things that we can do within the project here, excuse me, we can add some hierarchy here. So if I right click on this folder, this Tech Talk folder that I just imported, we can put a building in here, and we can name this building, building 1. And then in that building, we can add a floor. We can add a couple of floors if we want. So we got floor 1, and then we got floor 2. Within each floor, you can add rooms. You can add within each rooms, you can add racks, you can add panels. So you've got the capability to put all this information in here. And then if I go back to my list here of all these tests, and let's say I just take these 2 validation tests, and I just want to move them to this room, right? Let's put them just right in this rack here. So now they populate all the way up. So this will go all the way up to the building, and then anything else you bring in, like if we bring number 1 and 2 in and we put those just simply on the first floor, now those show populated in the first floor. Now if we click into any of these sub hierarchies, we can view just what we want to look at. So this is useful if you need to go back and look at this at a later date, and or if you just want to organize it in your software based on the hierarchy of where everything is. Once you've created all that, you can click the save button, and that hierarchy is saved into the project as well. So you can just expand that and see it in there. Other functions you've got up here, the multi-PDF, you rarely will use that. That will give you an individual PDF file for each test report. That's not something that you'll probably be using most of the time, because usually you want to generate a single PDF. The summary, if you selected all of these, you could just print the summary of PDF of the test. So it would just give you those summary pages. You also have the ability to export to CSV. Most times you're going to be using the PDF or sending a native file, that native project file over. There is a copy and paste function in here. So if we wanted to copy one of these test results and paste it into another project, we're doing multiple buildings on the campus and we had something in the wrong project, we can do that as well. Other functions you've got built into the software. You can download your TESTPRO or NSA firmware. So if there's an update available, you can download it. You can also use the software to upgrade the firmware of your TESTPRO or your NSA via the USB cable. You've got import custom limits, so you do have the capability to bring in a custom CSV limit into the tester. Same thing with custom labels. You can import custom labels. We covered this when we had our session with Brother, where we import a CSV file, and you use that same CSV file to generate your label sequence on the tester, but also your labels for your Brother printer. Import archived results is useful if you happen to upgrade the firmware on your TESTPRO or your NSA and you forgot to offload your test results before you did that, because it deletes all the project information on there. You can actually still go retrieve those archived results, so they're not lost forever. If we go to the settings tab, you can change things to feeders or meat. So here, meters or feet, feeders or meat. Wow, that's funny. So right here we see we've got meters, and we can click the toggle button, and now it changes to feet. Compact and full. The default is compact. All full does is it gives you a very high resolution graph on those printed test reports. So if you need a single report and you want to have a high resolution graph for a customer presentation or something, that's a great function there. But for generally speaking, for your PDF reports that you're going to give to a customer, leave this in compact, because if you select full and you've got a lot of test reports, it's going to generate a huge file size for your PDF. The normal and dual fiber. For fiber test results, what this does is if you have customers who want to see individual strands of fiber on their own pages in the test results, you would choose the dual fiber mode. And then what it would do is it would add a suffix of a -1 and a -2 to fiber 1 and fiber 2 from those test results where you've tested a dual fiber. So an example would be if your fiber had A-001, the first fiber would have A-001-1, and the second fiber would have A-001-2 on your PDF reports, and they would be on separate pages. Company logo, we've already covered. Restore settings. If I want to blow off that logo I imported and revert it back to the AEM logo and change all the settings back to the original, that will do that. It doesn't hurt anything, doesn't delete your reports. All that will still be there. The help tab is a useful one. You've got user manuals in here for TESTPRO. You've got a user manual for the Network Service Assistant, and you've got a user manual for Test Data Pro, the PC software. So all those manuals are available for you. Also, here is a check for updates button. And if I click check for updates, it will tell me that I have the latest version. And coincidentally, if you want to find out what version of Test Data Pro you have, if you're looking at our website and looking at the latest number, you want to find out, is mine up to date? First off, you can just click the check for updates, but in the upper right corner, there's a blue question mark. And if you click that, it will tell you what version of Test Data Pro you are running. The registration button is useful. If you've just recently purchased the product, if you click on registration, it will actually take you out to the website. And it will open up the website and take you to our My Account page, where you can create an account and go ahead and it'll log you in, and then you can register your product. There's also a contact button here as well. So if we click the contact button, it'll give you our support contact information, and it's got the customer care email there. It's got the phone number for our office in Chandler, Arizona as well. So that covers most of what you would do with the Test Data Pro PC software. The only other thing that I'd like to show you here is if we look at this first test, we want to get a little more detail on it. There's a little blue icon here, and if we click that blue icon, it's going to open up a new window for us, and it's going to give us some detail on the test itself. And everything seems to open in a different monitor when I'm doing this. So here's what you get when you click that blue icon. You get a detail screen. This will look much like the data that you were looking at when you ran the actual test in the tester. It's going to show you all your plots. It's going to give you much more detail than a PDF report gives you. You can go in and look at your graphs. You can see your crosstalk graphs. You can even show a marker. So if there's some crosstalk somewhere that you're questioning, you want to say, what's that little bump right there? It'll show you right here. You know, it's 1, 2, 7, and 8 on the remote. Was that crosstalk blip there? We can look at all of our other graphs. We can look at return loss locator TDR traces, the crosstalk locator TDR traces. All those are available in this detail screen. And so this is part of that PC software as well. Beyond that pretty much covers the management and uploading of your test results. And again, the website for the cloud, if you want to use the cloud, is tdpcloud.com. And to upload those results, I was directly connected with a wired Ethernet connection. But you also have the option by putting an Edimax USB Wi-Fi adapter into the USB slot of your tester to connect to Wi-Fi. And it also enables the Wi-Fi test functions in both TESTPRO and Network Service Assistant. And while you're connected to Wi-Fi or a hardwired network, you can upload to cloud. So it gives you that additional ability. And one nice thing about that, maybe there's no available Wi-Fi access points with service. Maybe there's no hard Ethernet, but if you've got that Edimax Wi-Fi USB adapter and you've got a smartphone that lets you set it up as a hotspot, you can turn your phone into a hotspot, use that Wi-Fi adapter, connect to your phone, and then you can go ahead and upload those test results to the cloud using your phone as your Wi-Fi hotspot. So it puts us right at the end here. Let's see if we have any questions. Is there a fee for Test Data Pro or Test Data Pro Cloud? That's a very good question. The answer to that is no. It's a big NO, no fee. So Test Data Pro and Test Data Pro Cloud are completely free. I think that's about it. I don't see any other questions that have come up. So that's going to wrap up this week's session of Tech Talk with Steve. Please be sure to join us next Tuesday, where we're going to have a special guest. Chuck Bowser from Let's Talk Cabling is going to join us next week. And he and I are going to talk about tips and tricks, things that we've both learned, not just on our own, but from other very experienced people in the industry over the few decades that he and I have been doing this, to kind of share some of that information with everybody else. And if you have questions that you want to pose for either of us, please go to our LinkedIn page and you'll see the link for the talk for next Tuesday, and post some questions ahead of time. Chuck and I would love to be able to answer those questions. So we really appreciate everybody's time, and have a great day. See you next Tuesday.